Hello guys, hope you are doing good. Welcome back to my channel Technology Universe. Today I will be teaching you how to write a Java program to check whether a number is a prime number or not. If you are new to this channel, then please subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. I literally post videos on Java programming, application development, latest full stack technologies, and videos related to technologies. So today we would learn about prime numbers. Prime numbers are those numbers which have only two factors, 1 and the number itself. There are two factors only for a prime number. So this is the basic condition that we will be using in our program logic, that if the number of factors of a particular input number is 2, then it should be a prime number. And another approach, it might be we can do it in another approach. That approach would be if we find the factors by running a loop from 2 to the square root of that number, then there should be no factors of that number, because the factors of a prime number are only two numbers, that is the 1 and the number itself. So in the range between 2 to square root of that number, there are no factors. So number of factors lying in 2 to method square root of that number is 0. And another approach is, if we run a loop from 1 to that number, if the number of factors is counted and it's 2, then it's a prime number. Okay, I would write a main method and a method that I would be using to check whether it's prime or not. It would return for me. Let me take I am taking a buffer reader console input, and let me name that function that would return me true or false. That should be prime check. The name of that method is prime check. It's a user defined method, yet it's another topic. It's a user defined method. Let the message be prime number, and here not prime number. Okay, we are done with the main method. Now we would be writing the method, the actual method. Let me give it private, because we would be running the main method only. So private boolean, it would return me a boolean, and we need a static keyword because it's being called by the main method, which is also a static. So static members can only call a static member, so that's why we have to give static here. No problem if you write only the prime check method, then no need to give the static, just write that. Okay, it takes an input of a number. Okay, let that be a, suppose. Now we would be checking by approach 1. Let me do by approach 1. Approach 1 would be count equals to 2. If we check the count of the factors by running a loop from 1 to that number, if it's 2, then it would be a prime number. It's approach 1. So here we are actually running a loop, a for loop, starting from 1 and ending to that number. Someone may also do it a minus 1 and check whether c is equals to 1 or not. That can also be done, but that's not help. That would not help us with the time complexity. Time complexity would only be reduced by that mat.square root approach that I would be showing in the approach 2. Just watch the video till the end to get the second approach. The first approach would be that if a is divided by I and we get a remainder 0, that means I is a factor of a. Percentage gives us the remainder, the modulo operator gives us the remainder. If the remainder is 0, then it's a factor, means I is a factor of a, and we close the loop here. So this loop would count the number of factors of that number a. Now if this counter variable is 2, then it should return, the method should return true. Okay, or else it should return false. You can give a else or not else also. If you don't give a else here, it would also work, because the return false is the last statement if it's not a prime number. So ultimately false would be returned. Okay, now you can also do like this. It's a better approach, that you store it in a variable, boolean variable, and you stored true if it's a prime number, and ultimately you return f. Okay, so this is the first approach. I am checking the number of factors from 1 to that number. I am running a loop and checking if I divides a and gives a remainder, that means it's a factor. I'm counting the factors, number of factors. If the number of factors outside that loop is 2, then it's a prime number, because we know that 1 and that number itself is the factor for a prime number. So then f would be assigned as true and f would be returned as true. But if it's not a prime number, suppose the input number a is 16, then there are quite a many factors, right? 1 is a factor, 2 is a factor, 4 is a factor, 8 is a factor, 16 is a factor. So total 5 factors might be there. So the count would be equals to 5. Then it's not equals to 2, means ultimately false is stored here, so false would be returned. So for non-prime numbers, the function returns false, and for prime numbers, the function returns true. And ultimately, whatever is returned by that function, if this condition is true, then only prime number would be printed. That means if our function, prime check function, user defined function, returns as true, then we would be printing prime number. Otherwise, we would be printing not prime number. And this piece of code, this buffer reader takes, we are using this buffer reader object from IO package to take console input. Console means the command prompt, the terminal window. Okay, from the terminal window it takes input with the help of this buffer reader. We can also use scanner class for the same purpose, but buffer reader, I prefer buffer reader because it's more stable and more modularized, and we get a couple of operations more here. So now prime check, we are giving a number, suppose 19. 19 should be a prime number. So see, we are getting prime number. Suppose I want to give some other test cases. Suppose I am giving 789. It's a not prime number. There must be factors. Suppose I give 16. So it should be not prime number. It's a not prime number. I am giving another input. Suppose I want to give 3. 3 is also prime number. So that was pretty good. That was our first approach. Now let's move over to the second approach. The second approach is a better option if we consider the time complexity, because for this case the piece of code written inside the loop executes how many times? It executes a number of times. Suppose the number is very large, then this piece of code would be run many times, right? So our time taken for executing this whole method would be quite more. But if we manage to do the same functionality with a less time complexity, means our program takes less time but it gives us the correct output, then that would be our best approach. Then that would be our most preferable approach. So in order to do that, what I would do, I would start the loop. Now I would check whether the count is 0 or not, and here we would use loop from 2 to square root of that number, whatever the input is. Okay, that would be the loop. I am running the loop from 2 to math dot square root. Math dot square root is a method of math class. Math class is a Java given class. So this class gives us a double output. So I have to typecast into integer. So math dot square root returns us the square root of a number passed as a parameter. So if we pass a, square root of a would be returned. If it's in point, it would be converted into integer. We would ignore the point part and take the integer part only. So now I'm running that loop, and if a is divided by I and we get a remainder 0, then C++. Or rather, we can directly give return true here, return false here, because we know that there should be no factors for prime number in between this range, right? So if it's a prime number, then only the loop would be executed and the console would come here, right? If it's not prime number, then directly inside the loop we would get a false return. False, boolean false would be returned. But if it's a prime number, then the whole loop would be executed, and alas, there would be no factors found. That means this if condition never becomes true, so the return statement would never be executed. So ultimately the control would come to line number 29. so return true would be executed, right? So for prime numbers only, so this line is also not needed, and this count is also not needed. So we are writing a code in this second approach where we don't need any counter, we don't need enough false. So I was also thinking that I would count and give it 0, but that's not required, because we know that in a prime, for a prime number, if it divides at least once, then it should not be a prime number. Otherwise it should be a prime number. Now let's run this program again and check whether it's giving the correct output for the test cases that we have found, that we have taken just ago, couple of minutes ago. It's a prime number, it's working. Let me check with another one, 2, it's working. Let me check with 3, or let me check with 7, it's working. Let me check with some other large number, it's not a prime number. So what is the advantage? The number of times the loop is executed has been minimized, has been optimized, okay? And also there are less number of variables taken, so memory complexity and time complexity both are addressed in the second approach, and this approach is quite good in terms of time complexity. That's all for today. Hope you have enjoyed this video and you have learned a quite a good approach today. So if you like my video, if you like the way I am teaching the Java concepts, please subscribe my channel, like the video and share with your friends, and please hit the bell icon to get the latest updates whenever I update a new video. I will be coming up with other most important Java programs. You can check it in my video section. Thanks guys for supporting. Keep watching. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and please do subscribe if you're new to this channel. Meet you in the next video.